Hi, Craig.
Mark, you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so we've started the broadcast. You can call the meeting to order. You could read that that blurb for the virtual meeting,
Right, yep,
and that'll get us started.
okay. I'll call the Conservation Commission and Inland Wetland meeting to order June 11th, 2020 at 6:33. The secretary's gonna read that notice on the virtual meeting first.
This is a web-based virtual public meeting, so we are operating under the following procedures. This session is being recorded, both video and audio. Mark Massoud, Land Use Administrator, and Michael Simmons, the town's IT Director, will be the meeting administrators. A link to the video audio is posted to the town's website. Most people attending this meeting will be muted. The commission members and staff will not be muted. Individuals will be unmuted at the time they are recognized to ask a question. Commission members and staff will generally be keeping video of themselves on throughout the meeting unless they are attending via telephone only. Members of the public should feel free to leave their video on or off. However, they will be asked to turn on their video when speaking. A picture tells 1,000 words and can be useful in conveying your meaning. If video is not available for you, you will not be precluded from speaking or providing public testimony. Individuals desiring to speak will be asked to state their name and give their home address. We will read the public hearing rules at the start of the public hearing. Please use the chat feature or the raise your hand feature for the meeting administrators to know what you've raised your hand to speak. Members of the public may only speak during a public hearing and only after being recognized. If a member of the public speaks outside of the public hearing or creates an audio or video disruption, they may be manually ejected from the meeting upon recommendation of the meeting administrators or the commission chair. Roll call. Craig Palmer.
Here.
Tom Murphy.
Here.
Ed Dalton here. Joe Paletta.
Here.
Harry Olson. George Tupance.
Here.
Luigi Cavallo.
No.
Pierre Moran.
Here.
Pierre is, yeah, Pierre is here.
Here's here, okay.
Here.
Charles Beliveau.
Here.
Phil Mahler.
We'll see.
Nope.
No, no,
And
no.
Harry Olson.
We'll see Pierre Moran for Harry Olson
And one of them. for-
and Charles Balvo for Luigi Cavallo. 3, the public hearing. Continuation of the public hearing for application 2019-34 of the Town of Watertown Department of Public Works for the installation of a storm sewer pipe to improve drainage behind 52, 58, 64, and 68 Sunset Avenue, Watertown. Recess or adjournment, the public hearing must be closed by June 11th unless applicant grants an extension of time. The secretary will read the ground rules for the public hearing.
Ground rules, Conservation Commission Inland Wetland Agency. 1, the applicant or his representative will make his formal presentation to the commission stating the proposed regulated activities, the wetland impacts, and the alternatives which were considered by the applicant. 2, all comments, discussion, and observations shall be made to the chairman after proper recognition by the chairman. This is necessary to ensure that only one person at a time speaks at any issue, thus making it easier for everyone to understand and for clear legal transcription. 3, All persons addressing the commission shall begin by first clearly stating their name and address for the record. If necessary, the person may be asked to spell his name for the record. 4, following the presentation of the application, the Conservation Commission Inland Wetland Agency will ask specific questions of the applicant. 5, after the commission has asked its questions of the applicant, the chairman shall then allow any members of the public who wish to speak either in favor of this application or against it to address the commission. 6, the chairman shall then allow the applicant to respond to comments of the members of the general public. 7, the chairman shall then allow any members of the general public who wish to present any additional information or clarifying discussion to do so. 8, the chairman shall then provide an opportunity for the applicant to respond to these additional remarks if he or his representative so wishes. 9, the Conservation Commission Inland Wetland Agency has 35 days from the date the public hearing commences to complete the public hearing. The commission may ask the applicant for a 35-day extension of the public hearing period if the commission requires any additional information or wishes to schedule a site walk to observe the situation for themselves. And 10, the Conservation Commission Inland Wetland Agency has 35 days from the date when the public hearing is closed to render its decision.
Paul, do you want to make a presentation on this or give us an update on where we're at?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, good evening, commission members. For the record, Paul Benevich, Watertown Town Engineer, 61 Echo Lake Road here in Watertown. When we last were together back in February, we had discussed the original presentation, which was installation of a 24-inch storm drain to the rear of the properties 38, 52, 58, and 64 Sunset Avenue, which would connect an existing storm drain on 38 Sunset, which has caused flooding in the area because it wends its way under these garages and houses on Sunset Avenue. And this proposal was to connect into an already approved storm sewer on property of Jeff Porter at 68 Sunset, I believe. That's in the lower, I know it's tough to see these plans behind me, but it's the best I could do. And so at that point, the commission has some concerns about why this construction was going to kind of overtake the backyards of these properties. And they said and I believe some of the towns or the property owners commented that they still wanted this existing storm drainage in their yards to remain. And this, what we propose then, in lieu of the 24-inch pipe, is a 6-foot wide grass swale from the existing culvert end on 38 Sunset across the properties and tying that in as an overflow system, leaving the existing 18-inch RCP under the properties on Sunset, still conveying the lower stormwater flows, but having this swale as an emergency overflow, which has capacity between the existing pipe and the swale to handle up to the 25-year design storm. And that's pretty much it. I don't know if I submitted the calculations for this, for the storm hydrographs, also the overland flow for the swale, how this would all work together and have the capacity between the swale and existing pipe to handle up to the 25-year design storm. And that's pretty much it.
You switched it from a pipe to a swale?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody from the commission have any questions on this? Melissa, do you have any questions or concerns on this?
Mr. Chairman, I did review, I think this is a better alternative compared to the original proposal. This is less invasive. Can you hear me?
Not really.
Very noisy.
Really? Like right now?
Any commission members have any concerns or no?
No.
No.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to close the public hearing for application 2019-34.
Joe, I just want to make sure there's nobody from the public there wishing to speak on it.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Is there anybody signed in from the public? Mark?
Hold on, Mr. Chair. I do not see any public participation at this point.
Okay, go ahead, Joe, with your motion, please.
I'll move that we close the public hearing for 2019-34 of the town of Watertown, the Public Works, for installation of a storm sewer pipe to improve existing drainage behind 52, 58, 64, and 68 Sunset Avenue.
Is there a
Second.
second?
Second.
The motion's made and second. Any questions on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Motion carried. For public participation, Mark, there's nobody signed on for public participation, correct?
Correct.
Okay. 5, action on the minutes. Did you receive A, sidewalk March 7th, 2020, and B, regular meeting February 13th, 2020?
Yes.
Any questions on the A or B?
No questions.
Does somebody want to make a motion to approve?
A motion to approve A and B.
Second.
Second. Motion made and second. Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. 6, pending applications. A, application 2019-34 of the Town of Watertown Department of Public Works for the installation of a storm sewer pipe to improve existing drainage behind 38, 52, 58, 64, and 64 Sunset Avenue, Watertown. If the public hearing is closed on June 11th, the decision required by July 16th. I do have a draft motion to be read in by the secretary.
By Luigi, because he's late.
Yeah. Can't hear you, Luigi.
Draft motion for approval. Application number 2019-34 for construction of an overflow swale. Whereas the Watertown Conservation Commission Inland Wetland Agency, the agency, has received an application from Town of Watertown Department of Public Works for construction of an overflow swale within upland review area to improve the on-site drainage system located at 38, 52, 58, 64, and 68 Sunset Avenue, Watertown, Connecticut. Proposed activity is shown on the plan entitled Plan of Proposed Overflow Swale Rear of 38 through 68 Sunset Avenue, Watertown, Connecticut, date 3/5/2020. Scale 1 inch equals 10 feet. Whereas the agency has determined that the proposed activities do not constitute significant activities. Whereas the agency has determined that it's in the public interest to hold a public hearing. Whereas the agency has evaluated the application according to the standards and criteria for a decision per section 10.2 of the Inland Wetlands and Water Courses Regulations of the Town of Watertown, the regulations. Excuse me. Whereas the agency has convened meetings and public hearing on November 14th, 2019, December 12th, 2019, January 9th, 2020, February 13th, 2020, and June 11th, 2020. Whereas the agency conducted a site walk on December 7th, 2020. Whereas the agency has considered the evidence and testimony received at the duly called public meeting from applicant, staff, and public. Now therefore be it resolved that the Watertown Conservation Commission Inland Wetland Agency finds that pursuant to section 11.1 of the regulations, the agency approves application number 2019-34 submitted by Town of Watertown Department of Public Works for construction of a grass overflow swale located at 38, 52, 58, 64, and 68 Sunset Avenue, Watertown, Connecticut, with the following modifications. Number one, the permittee shall notify wetlands enforcement officer in writing at least 3 days prior to business days prior to the commencement of work on site and upon its completion. Two, if the approved activities are not initiated on or before June 11th, 2025, said activities shall cease, and if not previously revoked or specifically renewed or extended, this permit shall be null and void. Any request to renew or extend the expiration date of a permit should be filed in accordance with section 11 of the Inland Wetlands Watercourses Regulations of the Town of Watertown. Expired permits may not be renewed, and the Wetland Agency may require a new application for regulated activities. 3, all work and all regulated activities conducted pursuant to this approval shall be consistent with the terms and conditions of this permit. Any structures, excavation, fill, obstructions, encroachment, or regulated activities not specifically identified and approved herein shall constitute a violation of this permit and may result in its modification, suspension, or revocation. 4, this permit is not transferable without the written consent of the Conservation Commission Inland Wetland Agency. 5, in evaluating this application, the Wetland Agency has relied on information provided by the applicant. If such information is subsequently proved to be false, incomplete, or misleading, this permit may be modified, suspended, or revoked, and the permittee may be subject to any other remedies or penalties provided by law. 6, the permittee shall employ management practices consistent with the terms and conditions of this permit to allow stormwater discharges and to prevent erosion and sedimentation and to otherwise prevent pollution of wetlands or watercourses. The permittee shall immediately inform the agency of any problems involving wetlands or watercourses that have developed in the course of or that are caused by the approved work. 7, no equipment or material including without limitation fill, construction materials, or debris shall be deposited, placed, or stored in any wetland or watercourse or on or off site unless specifically approved by this permit. This permit is subject to and does not derogate any rights or powers of the Town of Watertown, conveys no property rights or exclusive privileges, and is subject to all public and private rights and to all applicable federal, state, and local laws. In conducting and maintaining any activities approved herein, the permittee may not cause pollution, impairment, or destruction of the inland wetlands and watercourses of the Town of Watertown. If the activity approved by the inland wetlands permit also involves activity or a project that requires state or federal approval, zoning or subdivision approval, special permit, variance, or special exception, no work pursuant to the wetlands permit may begin until such approval is obtained. 10, the permittee shall maintain sediment and erosion controls at the site in such an operable condition to prevent the pollution of wetlands and watercourses. 11, a pre-construction meeting shall be held with the agency staff prior to any on-site activity. A 24-hour name, address, and telephone number of the site contractor must be provided, and a written notification is required 3 business days prior to any on-site activity. 12, there shall be no other on-site disturbance except what is proposed in the final plans prepared by Town of Watertown Department of Public Works and approved by the agency.
The draft motion's been read. Anybody have any questions on that? Moose, are you fine with that?
Musa?
Can you hear me now?
Moose, do you have any questions on that motion?
No, I don't. Can you hear me now? There is something wrong with the audio here.
I have a question.
The question.
Wasn't this application originally from the property owner?
Paul?
Paul, could you answer that question?
Yeah, we might have originally been, but we made the application on behalf of the property owners to simplify the procedure instead of having 5 different applications like intermingle with each other. So that was our idea.
But the town's not doing the work.
That's correct. We're just supplying well, actually no pipe now, but just some of, I don't even know what we'd be supplying now because it's just a grass swale, but
Okay.
Somebody want to make a motion on that draft motion?
I make a motion to approve application 2019-34 of the town of Watertown, the Department of Public Works for installation of storm sewer pipe to improve existing drainage behind 38, 52, 58, 64, and 68 Sunset Avenue, Watertown.
Okay.
Been seconded? Motion been made and seconded. Any questions on the motion? And all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Motion carries.
thank you.
The application 2020-2 of Alan Hayes for the construction of a new single-family home and associated driveway on-site septic system within a regulated area on a parcel of land located at the intersection of Litchfield Road and Morristown Line Highway, Watertown. If a public hearing is not held, the decision is required by July 17, 2019. The secretary is going to read into the minutes a note from Musa.
To Conservation Commission Inland Wetlands Agency from Musa Raffi, Wetland Enforcement Officer, May 11th, 2020. Application number 2020-2 of Alan Hayes, Morristown Line Highway. A formal application has been submitted for the construction of a single-family home on a parcel of land located at the intersection of Litchfield Road and Morristown Line Highway, Watertown. The agency has accepted the application on February 13th, 2020, and conducted a site walk on March 7th, 2020. As it was recommended by the agency and staff, applicant has submitted an application to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a variance to move the proposed house 15 feet closer to the street line to keep the house farther away from the edge of the wetlands located on this parcel. The Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a meeting on May 27th, 2020 to render a decision on the variance application. At this time, the agency should wait until the Zoning Board of Appeals renders its decision on the proposed variance. Action on this application should be tabled until the next scheduled meeting of June 11th, 2020. The agency has until July 17th, 2020 to render its decision on this application.
This should be July 17th, 2020, right? Not 19.
Mr.
Mark,
Chairman,
can you give us an update, Mark, on the zoning part of it?
This is, did I hear this is going before the Zoning Board of Appeals? Is that correct? Did I hear that?
Yes, I don't, do you know where that's at, or did they have their meetings, or I don't know?
No, they did not. They're scheduled for next week. They're
Okay.
scheduled in the future. They did not have the meeting yet,
All right, so we
so
still
it's
have
still pending.
a building lot or not, correct?
Well, it's considered a building lot, but there's no action on the variance.
Okay. I don't know how the rest of the members feel on this commission on that. If we should just table it till we hear from their decision.
Mr. Chairman, I think that because no action is taken at the zoning board of appeal, I think at this point we should table it.
I agree.
I do too.
Somebody like.
Do we need to get the applicant to grant us an extension period? Didn't we have to make a decision by next week?
Let me just look at the agenda.
Mine says 2019, so we're a little late.
Oh,
A little bit. Let's see. Public hearing. Stand by. This is a new public hearing, Mr. Chair?
So we didn't have a public hearing on this that I know of.
Oh, this is not a public hearing.
No,
Oh,
No.
okay, sorry.
we're
This
just
is a
trying to,
pending, this is a pending application. I gotcha.
right. George's question was on the time.
Gotcha.
On mine, it says July 17th we have to. I'm not sure if that's correct.
July 19th. Well, there was an automatic, I'll depend on the automatic 90-day extension that the state has granted on all applications. And I believe that would be on top of the normal 65-day extension that you could get. So since this says, where are we? By July 17th, I'd say that at this point you're fine. You're okay to do that, and we can follow up with the applicant to adjust or receive any extensions that we need to get.
Okay. Joe Paletti, do you want to make that motion?
Sure, I would like to table application 2020-2 of L&A's for construction of a new single-family home.
second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Motion carries. New applications. 7, application 2020-9 of the state of Patrick Graziano for the re-subdivision of an existing subdivision lot located into 2 lots at 384 Litchfield Road, Watertown. The public hearing is not held. Decision is required by June 18th, 2020. Is there anybody here from the Graziano estate or no?
Yes, good evening. For the record, my name is Stephen Judas. I'm here tonight on behalf of David Hughes, who is out of state tonight. So I'm presenting this application before the commission tonight. May I start, Mr. Chairman, or?
Sure.
Thank you. Tonight we're here on behalf of the applicant, the estate of Patrick Graziano, and Jennifer Yaman is the executor of that estate. The property is located at 384 Litchfield Road, and it's across from the West Road intersection. See if I can get, looks like you might have. Okay, there we go. The total parcel area is 85.7 acres. And it has approximately 22,000 lineal feet of frontage on Litchfield Road and 800 feet of frontage on Butternut Lane. The property has about 5.5 acres of wetland and approximately 10.7 acres of 100-foot upland review area on the property. Our proposal tonight is to subdivide this property. The parcel lies in R30 and R70 zones, and there's an existing house in the R30 zone on Litchfield Road. We're proposing to basically cut out the existing house, barn, garage, and existing septic system, and leave the remaining land right now undeveloped. The area of lot 1 would be 1.75 acres, and the area of lot 2 would be 84 acres. We have a set of subdivision plans that were submitted. I was looking to see if I could share those on my desktop, but I can't quite figure out how to do that. So I don't know if the commission has these copies that they can refer to. But sheets S1 and S2 are basically the property survey. In S1, you can see the existing
Right.
structures on right across from the West Road intersection. And then on sheet S2 is just an extension of the property that leads up towards Butternut Lane. Sheet SD1 identifies the proposed lot that we're going to cut out around the existing structures and septic system. There are a few structures that we're proposing to remove, just to make sure that both properties comply with the zoning requirements. And then on sheet C1, we show a conceptual house, a conceptual septic system, and a conceptual well. This house is not proposed to be constructed at this time, but as part of the regulations, we're required to show that the property can support a septic system, a house, and so on. And so we've done that on this plan. We're not proposing any direct or indirect wetland impacts. We're not proposing anything within the upland review area. Just state statute requires subdivision applications that include wetlands to be vetted by the Wetland Commission. So that's the reason that we are here tonight. If you have any additional questions, I will do my best to answer them for you.
Just a question. This is the first cut of this piece of land, correct?
I don't know if it's the official first cut. There may have been other lots cut out of this. I don't know the history. I believe that because we're here for a subdivision, there probably had been a lot cut out of this at some time.
So basically, if I understand correctly, you're taking this house with the barn and you create one lot. Lot 2 becomes all the rest of the land.
Yes, sir.
Correct? And there is
Yes.
no wetlands on this piece on the house, right?
The existing house has no wetlands on that parcel, no. No, sir.
Any other questions from the commission? Musa, do you have any questions or clarifications for us? Musa.
Hi, Mark, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, at this time, you just table application because it's a new application and you have to wait 14 days before you make a decision, in case if somebody wants to submit a petition for public hearing. And you can make a decision next month. And there is a typo that you have until July 18, 2020. It's not June.
That's what I thought. Somebody want to make that a motion?
I move that application 2020-9 of the estate of Patrick Graziano for re-subdivision of an existing subdivision be tabled.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Any abstentions? Next one is the application 2020-10 of Ashford Woods LLC for the renewal of a permit A86 for Ashford Woods subdivision located on Georgetown Heights, Watertown, Connecticut. A decision required by June 18th. George, can you remove yourself from the meeting at this point?
Yes, I'd like to remove myself, but be allowed to participate as the applicant.
Okay.
In case
This
there's any
is-
questions. Thank you.
There was a letter, which I think the secretary reading came from Paul Gesso.
To Watertown Conservation Commission Inland Wetlands Agency from Paul R. Jessel, Town Attorney, regarding Ashford Woods subdivision, dated May 11, 2020. Commission. The Ashwood Woods subdivision received its inland wetland permit on July 10, 2014. Thereafter, the Watertown Planning and Zoning Commission approved the subdivision on October 2, 2014. Some neighbors appealed from the Planning and Zoning Commission's approval of the subdivision. That appeal was ultimately settled, and the appeal was withdrawn on May 23, 2016. An agent of the developer approached the land use office approximately in May of 2019 and specifically wanted to know if it was necessary for the developer to file for any extension of the permits involved in the Ashford Woods subdivision. There appears to have been some miscommunication between the developer's agent and the land use office, and the developer did not seek an extension of either the permit or the subdivision approval. It appears that there was some thought that the appeal from the subdivision approval served as an extension of both that approval and the wetlands permit. That is not the case. The subdivision approval is good through May 23rd, 2021, but the wetlands permit expired in July of 2019. The applicant is willing to submit an application for a permit since it is too late for the commission to extend the expired permit. Based on the fact that the applicant did apparently ask about extensions and owing to some communication error was under the impression that none was needed, and on the fact that nothing was changed in the plan since the first permit was issued, the fact that the wetlands area was not changed, the fact that the limits of disturbance are unchanged, and the fact that the wetlands regulations have not changed since the original permit was issued, I would recommend that the applicant be permitted to submit an application with a waiver of the application fee, and that the commission consider granting a permit under the same conditions as were originally imposed without requiring a public hearing. I think that's the longest sentence I've ever read in my life. If there are any questions, please feel free to call.
Mark,
Yes, sir.
is this, I don't have a copy of the original application back in whenever that was. Is this an identical application that's been submitted 5 years later?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. To my knowledge, it is.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir. That's Mark.
I reviewed the plan. It is exactly the same application, the same activity that was proposed and approved by the commission. Everything is the same. I think it was on my side that when the applicant came to the office wanted to make sure to know that when the permit will expire, I thought because of that lawsuit, it will be extended 2 more years. But the attorney just said that it was only for PMZ approval, not for the wetland approval. In this moment, we just table this application. Just we need a motion to approve this new application with the same conditions of the original application that you already approved. Same activities, same number of lots, everything is the same. And I reviewed the plans; they're all exactly identical, and they're the same.
Does any members have any questions on this?
Yeah, I just agree. If nothing was changed, I think that we should just renew the application. But we cannot vote on this tonight?
We cannot do that tonight because of that 14 days requirement.
Okay.
Yes, but the commission should make a motion that we are not going to hold a public hearing on this because you already had a lengthy public hearing on this application and you went through all kinds of questions and everything. and there is no requirement for another public hearing.
And Mr. Chairman, this attorney Richard Gillen, representing the applicant. If I might, my address is 97 Main Street, Thomaston, Connecticut, and it is an identical application. Everything is the same, and we're simply asking for approval of this permit with the same conditions of approval that were part of permit number 886.
Okay.
Okay.
We need, Joe, I think we need two motions, correct?
Okay, one is gonna be with no public hearing?
Correct, I think.
Okay, I'll move that application 2020-10 of Ashford Wood LLC do not need a public hearing.
Second.
And for the reason that you already had a public hearing on this application.
I can't hear what he said.
No, I
So,
I can't follow you, Musa, either. I can't hear his stuff.
I'm sorry, for the reason that you already had a public hearing on this.
Right.
yeah.
So I didn't get that, but
Mr. Chairman, I
Yes.
believe what Moose said was he wanted to add that we've already had an extensive public hearing on the application
To the motion, right?
for the motion. And may I also request, if there is the additional possibility that we grant the land use office permission to issue this permit after the 14-day waiting period? That would be a much appreciated addition to that second motion.
Any members have any questions or concerns with that?
no problem at all. I think that we should go for it. I think it's the same application and nothing was changed.
Roseanne,
If
you
we
good
have
on
a
those?
question, I have a question. This is Pierre Moran, Hamilton Avenue.
Yeah.
Are the applicants the same? Is the applicant of 886 this applicant?
I believe in perhaps not in name. I think originally the applicant might have been Bella Vista, which was a LLC owned by Mr. Tupance. And it was, that application was made prior to the ownership of the property. And when the property was purchased, rather than purchasing it in the name of Bella Vista LLC, it was purchased in the name of Ashford Woods LLC. But the principles of both LLCs are the same, is my understanding.
That is correct.
Legally, it's a separate entity, and you're supposed to have prior written permission for approval for transfer of permits, correct? From one to the other?
Right, but we're not, I don't think we're technically transferring a permit, because we're not seeking, as Attorney Jessel indicated, it's too late for us to seek technically a renewal of the application, that this is a new application. So that's why we thought it would be appropriate to have this application be in the name of the owner of the property, Ashford Woods LLC, which is the same.
And I believe that transformation took place during the public hearing process. So the original permit was actually issued to the new LLC of Ashford Woods, which again has the exact same principle.
Mr. Chairman, can I say something?
Yes.
I think that shouldn't be an issue, because that permit is already expired. This will be a new permit. And whatever the name of the applicant on this application is, we will issue this permit to this applicant. We are not dealing with that other permit, because that is already expired. We are dealing with a new application, but exactly the same activities.
But a brand new app.
Conditions.
Musa, is there any way we could approve this tonight?
No, you have to wait. Every time you receive a new application, you have to wait 14 days.
Okay.
This is a new application.
Tom Murphy, you all set?
Can we make this after the 14, leave it along, and then after 14 days, he can start construction?
No, you can authorize the wetland enforcement officer. You can authorize to the permit after 14 days from tonight.
Really, I don't see any problem with this at all, so I think we should vote on it after the 14 days, just he can start and do whatever he's supposed to do. I mean, there is nothing here different than last time. So
That's correct.
That's my motion, is gonna be
Mr.
that, give him a
I'm
chance.
sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Because summertime, the longer we're delayed, it's not fair to the applicant.
Yeah, but it's not necessarily unfair to the applicant, but if you read through the whole transcript and everything else, it seems like there's a lot of innuendos and stuff, and where it was basically, it seems like the burden of proof was placed on our office, the miscommunication and everything else. And then we've got the complication of the separate entities. The first entity is basically either defunct or not involved in this now, and a brand new entity is coming on board to basically reap the benefits of the prior entity. And there's no way of basically knowing if it's the identical entity or not. So I think Pierre brought up a good point. I don't know the legal end of it, so maybe Attorney Gillen can respond to that.
Mr. Murphy, let me please clarify, okay? Any and all of those concerns would have certainly been addressed in May of last year when my representative, Musa, and myself had discussions about whether or not we needed to fill out any additional paperwork for extensions or transfer of ownership or anything at that time. It was a miscommunication in the office. Paul Jessel is just asking us to try to correct it. It wasn't for a lack of trying to get the process done correctly. It was just a miscommunication, and we're following, with all due respect, Mr. Jessel's suggestion to move on from this so that we can get to work on this project. It's just really clerical paperwork.
And I agree with that because I thought that because of that lawsuit, the permit was extended automatically for 2 more years. And Attorney Jessel does not agree with me, and he said that no, the P&Z permit was extended, but not the wetland application. And I gave them that information that, hey, your permit is good until 2021. And then at this time, I think the best solution is to just issue a new permit for the exact identical subdivision.
Can Attorney Gillen clarify what Tom Murphy had to say?
As I am understanding him, he's asking about the LLCs, and I don't really understand, because it's not a transfer of a permit, why that necessarily would be all that important at this stage.
Well, again, it's two separate legal entities, correct?
Well, yeah, sure, they're different LLCs, yes.
Now, the Ashford, what is it? Let me see here. So it's Ashford Woods LLC?
Yes.
Yeah, so that was organized November 26, 2013. No annual report's been filed. It's listed as active, but there's no filing history, no nothing.
Yep.
It's right off the Concord System website today. So it's not even, it's not even, current on the filing. So we don't, all it says is the agent name and one of the owners. So we don't know if it's identical entity. I understand what you're saying, but we're basically, I think, commingling a lot of different things here where the original application is null and void and gone. So now we have a brand new application here. So I don't know what the rules are as far as that goes. Do we have to put it through the 14 days or whatever? Do we have the vote, not public hearing like we did, all that stuff? Or are we just creating a monster here for no reason?
Well, I don't think we're creating a monster. I think we're trying to prevent a monster from occurring. I mean, the property, the reason that that Bella Vista was used as the applicant at that time is because Bella Vista wasn't the owner of the property at that time. it was in an estate, which was eventually purchased by Ashford Woods LLC. So they've always, Ashford Woods LLC has always been the owner of the property. There's not a transfer of owner, there has not been a transfer of ownership of the property. We're just trying to simplify things by getting the name of the permit in the name of the entity that owns the property.
And I also believe that if we follow back to the date of when the permit was issued, the Ashford Woods LLC was already set up at that point in time, and that was who the permit was issued to. I believe we did the transfer during that lengthy public hearing process. Just the switching of the names was all part of the public hearing process.
Musa,
Yes.
do you have a question?
I just wanted to focus on what is in front of you right now. You are reviewing application 2020-10 from Ashford Woods LLC. And this is for a subdivision that you already approved with a long list of conditions of approval. I think we shouldn't focus on what was, we shouldn't talk about an application that is already expired. This is a new application for some activities that you already approved. It is just to get them more time to just do the construction. And if there was an issue about the transfer of permits from one link to another, Paul Jessel didn't mention anything. And when I had a talk with him, he said that this is the best way or the easiest way to resolve this issue. To be honest, I wasn't agree with him that I thought that they already have 2 years of extension because of that lawsuit, but because the town attorney told me that now they have to go to the commission. They're in front of you now.
Roseanne, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Do you have the motion that Joe Paletta?
Yes, I do, and I have it on recording anyway, so
Okay.
I'm good.
Somebody second that motion?
Second.
Motion made and second. Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Opposed.
Any abstention? Okay.
Okay, what is the vote? How many aye and how many no?
I couldn't understand you, Musa.
I can't understand
What was
anything.
the vote? What was
He's
the
looking,
vote?
I think he's looking for a more specific count of the ayes and nays.
Okay,
I believe there was one nay.
one nay.
Okay. How many aye?
I said aye.
Joe Paletta, aye.
Luigi Cavallo, aye.
Charlie Balbo,
I
aye.
didn't answer. I was on mute. I'm opposed to it.
Okay. With 2 nay.
2 nays.
Okay. Okay, the motion passed because the majority vote was aye.
Right. All right, we're good with that one?
Okay, the motion was to table this for 14 days and then you authorize the weapon enforcement officer to issue a permit. That is the motion?
As far as I understood it, yes.
Okay, thank you.
I didn't understand what was said.
He said that the motion was to table it for 14 days and then transfer authority to the wetlands officer.
Right. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to thank yourself and the members of the commission for meeting this way. It's my first time participating in such a meeting, and I know we're all trying to get beyond this COVID crisis, but I appreciate your time and effort.
Thank you. Okay, C, application 2020-13 of Carmine DeCepio Jr. of construction of a detached garage restoration of a disturbed regulated area at 1745 Guernsey Town Road, Watertown, Connecticut. The public hearing is not held, decision required by August 15th, 2020. Moose, do you have an update on this, or?
Is the applicant there?
The applicant was here. I don't know if he's still on there.
What?
Let me see. Stand by. Yes, he is here. Carmine? Carmine, can you hear us? Carmine? He's listed as on the call, but self-muted.
Yeah, I saw him in the beginning.
He sent a chat at 6:27 PM asking, he said, should he be able to hear us? I don't know if he can or can't. So it's in the chat room.
Carmine?
You can see him, but I can't hear him.
Carmine, are you there?
He's talking.
You need to unmute yourself.
You need to unmute yourself.
He's not muted.
He's got an issue with microphone.
Is it possible for him to call in? I know that I think there's a number you could call in to get audio on.
Carmine, if you can hear us, you can call in using the call-in number on the email.
Mr. Chairman?
George, are you back in the meeting?
Yes. If that's okay.
Musa.
Yes. Let me briefly explain to you what happened here.
Yeah. Can you give me an update?
Yes. Mr. DeSapio, the owner of 1745 Morsey Town Road, they bought this property a few years ago, and they thought that they had extra land. They wanted to clear that area to put a garage there. They didn't know that there is a brook going through their property and there is some wetlands in the backyard of their property. And they clear cut that area and removed the soil and brought some gravel and put a garage there. And somebody called the office, and I went there and I talked to them. I told them to stop all the activities and then submit an application to come in front of the commission. At this point, I recommend that if the commission has time and if you want, we should do a site walk to go and see the situation, and then probably we can find a solution how to resolve this. My recommendation is to create at least like a 50-foot buffer from the edge of the brook and plant some wildflowers, and then the remaining land can be used for their garage.
All right, do you want to go?
If you want to go for a sidewalk, that will be very helpful for all of you to see the situation.
I did call. I'm here, Commission.
Hello.
Carmine? Carmine?
Yes.
Okay, you're on.
Now you gotta mute his computer.
Carmine?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, we're under discussion, so if you want to say anything, please do.
I was just clearing. I didn't realize that my property was on wetlands, and I put up a tarp shed. And when Mr. Musa stopped by to inspect, I needed a permit.
Okay, I think we're gonna come out to the location and do a site walk to see what was done to the property.
Okay.
And that, before our next regular meeting.
Sure.
Rosie, what's the state of that?
Should we set field trip on this?
Yeah, that should be the Saturday before the next meeting.
Or we can do it the night of an hour before, can't we, if it's the only site walk?
Yes, we can do that, yes.
So it should be at 5:30 at whatever the date of the next meeting is, the July. I don't have a calendar.
Okay, you want to make a motion to table and have a site walk before the meeting?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll do that. Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that the table application 2020-13 of Carmen and Jessica DeSapia.
That's been seconded. That motion seconded? Motion's been made and seconded. Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Any abstention?
I'm abstaining just because I was bounced off and I got back on. It's Tom Murphy.
Okay. It was about a site walk for that.
I'll need the motion for sidewalk. Make
And
a
that'd be
motion.
July 10th. Nice. All right, we good on the site walk?
I'll make that motion, make the motion that we schedule a sidewalk on application 2020-13 of Carmen and Jessica DeSapia.
At 5:30, the night of the meeting.
The same night, yeah, the same night of the
July
meeting at 5:30.
July 9th, 5:30.
July 9 at 5:30.
Correct.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Any? Old business. A, notice of violation issued owner 30 Jericho Road, Watertown. Mark, or move to an update?
I am not aware of any updates on that, Mr. Chair.
And I was sitting there, I was unmuted.
Musa, are you?
No, Mr. Chairman, just at this time, table item 8A, B, and C at the same time. Just make a motion to table all three items.
Step C, I have a discussion in there.
Okay.
I know if we want to table A and B, we can do that.
Okay.
Make a motion, Joe, to table that.
Make a motion that the table A and B.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Under C, I know with the COVID-19 and what was going on and how applications were being done, but I assume from this point forward, we're going back to, because under 12, under age determination, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. To me, that's too many done that way, and we make other people do different things. I think everybody should be treated the same. So hopefully we're going back to a regular process. Any other comments from the commission on that?
Mr. Chairman, if I
Agreed.
may, I haven't heard any clear guidance yet on going back to holding holding in-person meetings. So I suppose until we get that, and it may just be that I'm not aware, but we certainly could continue with the virtual meetings for the next meeting if necessary.
Right, and the application will be brought before the commission.
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I just want some clarification. We didn't want any agent determination, but we should put all of it on the agenda for the next meeting in case if we get a new application.
We can't hear what you said,
I
really.
can't hear Musa what you said.
Sorry, you said that we approved too many applications without putting on the agenda for the commission. They were all activities within upland review area.
Right, well, I mean,
All these applications to be on the agenda for the commission to review?
right, I mean, some of these are minor and some are major. I don't think that, that's why we have a commission and we put our time in here and we make people go through the process. I think everybody needs the same.
Mr. Chairman, I think you just.
It's an unusual situation. It was a unique situation. People wanted simply we couldn't have meetings.
From this date forward, we should go back to doing it.
Very good.
I agree. I
Mr.
think
Chairman.
now's the time, if you're trying to sneak something through, now's the time that people are going to try to sneak it through.
Right, and it's not fair to the other people that have to go through it.
But Mr. Chairman, you're not suggesting that items that could be approved under agent approval, which would be in upland review areas and no impact to wetlands, they can still be approved as previously by the agent approval. Is that correct? I think that's what Musa is asking.
Right. I mean, I don't think for, new house construction, that is a minor. I think if somebody wants to put a shed or a deck up, I don't have an issue with that. But if,
right.
These lots have been there for 200 years. I don't know what the hurry is for 30 days.
There's one where it's approved where an application for a house in the upland review with a shed in the upland review area.
Right.
And there's one on Winnemog Waters. We don't know how close to the lake it was, but again, I agree with Craig. It just has to be done where we have to follow protocol.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't set new standards because of this. We've got to maintain our integrity if we have any.
What lot was the one in Winnemog that we walked last winter?
That was lot 11.
And where is this in conjunction with that?
This is before you get to lot 11, it is lot 7, on the left side of the cul-de-sac.
On the lake side then?
On the lake side, yes.
So
and there is no activity in the wetlands. It is all upland review area. And there is a list of conditions for approval, all these standard conditions.
All right. I think some of the other commission members agree that we should, follow the process the same for everybody.
Let's review this and we can come up with a good solution. Okay, and I think some of them they're more active than others, but I think we should talk about it so we treat everybody the same.
Correct. I mean, if we're going to have these virtual meetings, there's no hurry here. I don't understand.
Right. If we're on a regular schedule from here on, I agree. I think that there was, because we were in the middle of that whole issue and nobody knew when meetings were going to be held, that Musa reviewed and signed off on agent determinations because there was some uncertainty or doubt. I think a lot of that has been taken away at this point, and we have a much better handle on the situation and how to conduct meetings. It shouldn't be an issue going forward.
Yeah. I mean, if somebody's house, you got to give them a permit. I agree, but a new house is go through the process.
Addressing the friend of applicants, I mean, they were ready to start building, and for 3 months we didn't have meetings. That's why this happened.
Okay.
Yes.
But we're having meetings so we can go back to our regular way.
Okay.
Okay. 9 new business. Nothing. 10 communications and bills. Connecticut deep permit application for use of pesticides on Watertown, which I think they already did. And B, wetlands application cannot be denied solely on impacts to a plan review area, an article from the Connecticut Federation of Planning and Zoning Agencies quarterly newsletter, spring 2020, volume XX for issue 2.
Actually, Mr. Chairman, this is based on a lawsuit that the court decided that the commission cannot deny an application just because the activities are within upland review area.
Right.
You have to prove that these activities within upland review area has an adverse impact on the wetlands or water courses, then you can deny it. Because an activity is within upland review area, just for that reason, you cannot deny an application.
Joe, just want to make a motion to file A and B.
I'll move that, you're talking about 10AB?
Correct.
I'll move that, accept and file AB, 10AB.
A motion made in second. Any question on the motion? All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? 11, reports from officers and committees. Seeing none. 12, reports from staff.
Mr. Chairman, under every determination, I approved 7 applications, and each one of them I have filed in the office with their site plans. Any commission members are welcome to come to the office and look at them if you don't feel comfortable with my decision on these. As I said in that article says, these are all activities within upland review area that has no adverse impact on the wetlands directly. But again, in future, if you want to have like single family homes or new homes to be put on the agenda for your review, we will do that. But I review all of these applications and there is no activities in the wetlands.
Okay. Let's make a motion for A, correct? Because they're all in one.
You don't need a motion, this was just a report for you, basically telling you that I approve these applications. We don't need a motion. Yes.
No, 13, public participation. Anybody from the public sign on, Mark?
Let me just check, Mr. Chairman. And I do not see any.
Excuse me, Mark?
Yes,
This is Gary Giordano.
Gary.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi, good evening. The chairman kind of tabled my thing for the Watertown Fire District before I got a chance to react. So I just want to let you know that there will should be some activity on that this summer.
Okay.
We've kind of gone through a legal process with the adjoining property owner.
Right.
He challenged our surveys and stuff. He now concedes, and we'll probably have some activity in July and August.
Do we have a plan that we can see, or what's going to be done?
You've already approved a plan.
Oh, okay. It was just, and they're following that plan?
Yes, we're out getting some prices, and we should be back probably next month to bring some details to you.
Okay. Thanks, Gary.
You're welcome.
Anybody else from the public? Joe, make a motion to adjourn at 7:45.
I'll make a motion to adjourn a special meeting. I loved it.
It wasn't a special meeting, it was a regular meeting.
Regular meeting.
All right.
Second.
Motion
You
made.
might have felt,
On the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Paul, go home and go to bed, Paul. See
Okay,
you
thanks,
guys.
everyone. Good night.
I looked at
Aye.
it.
See ya.
Good night.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.